Okay, let's jump right into this explainer, and honestly, let's just bust a massive myth right off the bat. When we picture a leader, what usually comes to mind? Usually, it's the loudest person in the room, right? The one giving that fiery halftime speech or just dominating a boardroom with sheer charisma. But what if that entirely misses the mark? Today, we are tearing down that misconception. We're going to look at a deeply operational, highly functional philosophy of leadership. It's a total paradigm shift, and it's going to completely change how you view your role, whether you're managing a corporate team or coaching elite athletes. I want you to just let this sink in for a second. Leadership is the control of belief. Notice what's missing there. We aren't talking about motivation. We definitely aren't talking about cheerleading. We are talking about control. The absolute operational control of what an individual or a whole team believes about themselves, their actual capabilities, and their environment.
See, this completely flips the script on how we usually look at leadership. It's not some magic personality trait you're just born with, it is a functional system. Think about it. Empty confidence? That shatters the absolute second things get difficult. Surface-level positivity? Poof, vanishes under pressure. True leadership is about instilling a deep operational belief that literally governs how your people think and act when the stakes are incredibly high. It's really about engineering the mind so that performance just follows automatically.
Now, to really ground this, we got to look at the guy who built this framework, Dr. Nicholas Serenati. And he isn't just sitting around theorizing in a classroom. Yes, he holds a Ph.D. in interdisciplinary studies, but he actually applies this exact philosophy out in the field as a high-performance soccer academy founder and elite sports specialist. I want you to imagine the 90th minute of a tied championship game. Lungs are burning, the crowd is screaming, literally everything is on the line. That is where he bridges the gap between academic theory and raw on-the-field execution, using these exact principles to build truly unshakable athletes.
So, moving into part 1, presence without the volume, and redefining true leadership.
You know, when you're actually leading effectively, this is the absolute first thing your team picks up on. Nothing goes unnoticed. Literally nothing. The tiny details matter, the quiet effort matters, the daily standard matters. And when a team knows that their efforts are genuinely seen by you, a fascinating shift happens. Accountability stops being this heavy thing you have to force from the outside. Instead, it becomes something they internalize. You don't actually need to yell if your sheer awareness already sets the standard.
And that brings us to a huge fork in the road. Every leader faces this: respect versus likability. Look, chasing likability destroys high performance. It really does. Because it's fragile, it's highly situational, and worst of all, it forces you to compromise hard decisions just to keep the peace. Respect, on the other hand, is built on consistency. It's built on fairness. Sure, it's way harder to earn, but it brings functional trust. If you really want to drive belief in your team, you absolutely must choose respect over likability every single time.
All right, part 2, protect publicly, demand privately. This is where we find the clear divide in trust.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, publicly, like in front of the media or upper management or clients, you are a shield. You absorb the pressure, you take the hit, and you fiercely defend your people. You give them safety. But privately, behind closed doors, you are uncompromising. You address every single gap, you confront the excuses, and you hold the line on your standards without an ounce of fluff. It's this contrast, the fierce protector outside and the demanding coach inside, that is the absolute engine of trust. So here is the functional step-by-step way you execute that private accountability, because you have to separate the person from the performance. Step 1, address the behavior directly. Just say it. That standard wasn't met. No sugarcoating. But then, step 2, immediately reinforce the belief. You're capable of more, and I expect it. See, accountability without belief, that just breaks a person's confidence. But belief without accountability, that creates pure entitlement. When you combine these two, you drive home their self-belief while completely crushing any entitlement.
Which perfectly transitions us into part 3, constructing unshakable confidence, where clarity completely eliminates hesitation. So here's the million-dollar question we all face, right? How do you actually build belief in a team or an individual when just slapping a motivational poster on the wall clearly won't cut it?
The answer? It's structure. Pure and simple. Clear standards. Consistent accountability. Honest feedback. You build belief by putting your team in the crucible. You create pressure scenarios in practice so that when the real game hits, their execution is just automatic. Basically, belief is a byproduct of evidence. You have to literally show them they are capable through the rigorous, daily structure you create.
I absolutely love this, because it changes everything. Confidence isn't just some fleeting emotion you hope you wake up with on a Tuesday. It is functional. It is earned through absolute competence and game speed preparation. When you build beliefs structurally like this, the people on your team don't just hope they'll perform when the pressure hits, they expect to.
Let's look at part 4. Standards are the system, and we're going to visualize the downfall here.
This is a heavy one. People don't follow what you say, they follow exactly what you tolerate. That is the real gravity of leadership right there. Standards aren't just fancy mission statements written on a wall. They are the actual behaviors you repeat and enforce every day. If you preach excellence but you tolerate mediocrity, well, your true standard is mediocrity.
And that brings up a trap we've literally all fallen into. You know the thought, it's just one time. It's been a crazy long week. What happens if I just relax the standards occasionally?
Well, the harsh truth is, the moment you allow exceptions, they aren't standards anymore. They're just suggestions. And the instant you do that, your entire high-performance environment immediately adjusts downward. Consistency is literally the only thing that gives a standard its power. Compromise it once, and you've just weakened the structural integrity of your entire team's belief.
Finally, part 5, setting the psychological ceiling. Because belief, well, it begins with you.
Look, true leadership doesn't really show up when you're winning. It shows up in the storm. When results dip, say you lose 3 games in a row or a massive client backs out, what do? Because if you panic, the group fractures. But if you double down on your standards, control your own emotions, and stay obsessively consistent in your behavior, the group stabilizes. You are the one dictating their reality.
Because at the end of the day, belief does not just organically emerge out of thin air. It is established. It's engineered. By your consistency, your clarity, and your uncompromising presence, you shape the mindset. You drive home that belief in oneself by proving to them that the structure holds no matter how crazy the pressure gets.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this. Take a hard look at your team. Look at your own actions today. If leadership truly is the control of belief, what belief are you building right now? Are you building an environment of functional expectation and absolute clarity, or are you just leaving it all to chance? Remember, control the belief, and absolutely everything else will follow. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Now go out there and set the standard.